Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Health meeting for October 6th, 2025. We're going to start off the meeting with introductions. My name is Michael Roach. I'm the chairperson.
My name is Sheila Peralt.
Steve Jeanette.
Carla Page.
Matt Waterman with Land Tech Consultants, consultant for the Board of Health.
Carrie Young for the Health Department.
Angela Lemire for the Health Department.
All right. So we're going to start going through the meeting agenda. First is citizen and business time, and then there's Patriot Road that we'll discuss right after that. So citizen and business owners may address the Board of Health on matters of interest to the public for not more than 3 minutes, unless there are more than 6 speakers wishing to be heard, in which case each speaker will be limited to 2 minutes. Citizen business time shall not exceed 15 minutes total unless the Board of Health, within its sole discretion, leaves the limit to allow for more time. So we'll start with Patriot Road hearing. You want to go first? And then I'm going to open the Patriot Road with Matt Waterman, if you can just explain.
Sure, and just before I turn it over to the residents of Alpine Road, I just want to update the board. I think everyone, or at least the board, has seen my comment letter. It's just more of informational to get the board up to speed. We did get a request for an agenda item from the resident at 72 Alpine Way. It's for a property in the neighborhood. Alpine Way, I'm sure everyone is familiar with Alpine Way. It's off of Scribner Road. There's been a couple developments over the years with various segments, back in 2004 being the most recent, Skyline Drive. But there's one property that kind of sat in the middle of it all, 52 Patriot Road. It's a long piece. It has a lot of frontage. It's about just under 14 acres. It's at the corner of Patriot and Alpine. And then there was, recently there's been some work to develop it. They did an A&R with the planning board to subdivide the lot into 6 lots. There is an existing house. One of the lots remains as the existing house, so there'll be 5 new lots. And then it's my understanding they've applied for a stormwater management permit, which is in Tyngsborough regulated through the Conservation Commission. We've done testing through the Board of Health on site with Stamsky and McNeary. They've submitted septic designs. I don't know if they're approved or if we've reviewed them once and they're still in the works.
Yeah, we've just gotten the first round of comments.
Yeah, I think we have issued some kind of general comments. I don't think there's anything that would hold up the permit. From a septic related Title V review for the septic design. The applicant has expressed a lot of concerns. I'll turn it over to Derek, who's here tonight. I did ask the Stamsky and McNeary, who represents the applicant and the owner, to come in. They brought Peter Nicosia. They did not have to come. They kind of came to kind of help further the discussion, so I want to thank them for coming in. A lot of the things that I think are discussed, there's kind of two. There's one issue that's related to PFAS, which I'm sure everyone is familiar with and knows about. And then the rest are kind of more construction related, which is why I thought it was important to have this team in here. A lot of like and Derek, I'm sure we'll get into it, but the blasting, the dust control, the rock crushing, a lot of that's regulated during the construction period. But I'll turn it over to the applicant, or the person, Derek, who is requesting the discussion.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Derek Preston. I live at 72 Alpine, which is, if you look at your maps provided, I am the lot that's right below Lot 6. And Lot 6 is the one giant rock. So it is, would require all blasting. As we took a walk earlier on Saturday morning with Attorney Pete Nicosia and the Conservation Board, everyone came to the same agreement that it's just a giant ledge. There's no questions about it. All these concerns that I brought up are all health concerns. With the blasting, with the changing of the water tables, with now dispersing PFAS to new channels, contaminating wells that aren't already contaminated from what has already happened up there. So allowing this blasting to happen on this project will do environmental damage, there's no way around it. As you guys have requested, DEP will be here at the November meeting to discuss further with their geologists and the people that have been doing the testing in our neighborhood. Not everyone has elevated levels where we needed state help. My house is one of the houses that had required the state to come in. They put a system in. I now am required to have it monitored on a 4 times a year, changing filters, extra costs, and doesn't mean the PFAS won't go. It just means I'm gonna have to be doing it more and more often. And there's other people in the neighborhood that don't have it yet, but with this blasting and the changing of the aquifers, possibly, but no one can say it won't. So the PFAS is huge. There's a reason why there's lawsuits in that neighborhood between the town, builders, all that stuff. So these are health concerns that I brought to you. Also, it should be a concern that just allowing this, we're allowing the PFAS to spread in the town of Tyngsborough. We have it contained, meaning it can't break through the rocks itself. It's gonna stay where it's supposed to stay. So it's contained in the channels and the veins, and everyone that has it, I'm one that has it. I certainly don't wanna give it to my neighbor who doesn't have it yet. So, with that being said, that's one of the issues. So I strongly urge, the development can go forward. Don't allow blasting. It's gonna change and contaminate, which is a forever chemical, as we're all learning about PFAS. So you can't get rid of it. It's there. Why would we spread it in the neighborhood? So that being said, that's on the PFAS contamination. It will move if we allow it to blast. And that lot 6, there's no way lot 6 can be built without blasting. You could hammer drill the thing all you wanted. It is a giant ledge right across where they went through for Alpine Way. There's 2 pieces, they connected. They gorged it out so they could get up to Skyline Drive and commit to getting to Patriot. So cliffs are over 20 feet tall if we drive up. I have some pictures, they're just on my phone, I didn't have time to print them today, but they'll be there for the November meeting. So, and if in doubt all this stuff moves forward, there's so much rock in this 6-lot subdivision that there's nothing to do with it. You have to either set up a crushing plant or you have to haul it away. So if we haul it away, that's fine, it's somebody else's. If you allow a crushing plant on site, the damage that it's gonna do with the silica dust, which is cancerous, it's a tight neighborhood. This is in a neighborhood, it's not out in a commercial property. This isn't something that can be certainly controlled with water due to the elevations. Everything is a runoff, it's a slope. So dust control here would be nearly impossible if it was done with water. So to allow the crushing plants on whatever lots they are, even if you don't blast them, it's the places. I built right there. I didn't have to blast on mine, I was able to slide my house a little bit, but it's all rocks. So you either get creative with them or you have to haul them off-site. So that's the dust control, that's if you do the crushing plant, the silica dust, which is also another cancerous agent that's there. Being put into the sky with kids in the neighborhood. My daughter also has asthma. There's another neighborhood right below, children right below, little ones. So that's my concerns, bringing it to the board, making everybody aware of what we know. You guys may know more than us, but these are concerns that we have allowing this to happen. If we allow them to blast, we're allowing PFAS to be spread in the neighborhood. They can build without blasting, that's great. But if we knowingly allow them to blast, we're knowingly allowed to give someone else PFAS. And if you lived on that neighborhood, you certainly wouldn't raise your hand and say, please contaminate my water source. Or change my water source, which the last blasting they had done. There was blasting done up on Skyline, and that side of the road, there was at least 2 people that went from 10 gallons a minute down to nothing. The O'Keefes who sent a letter, their well disappeared. They were less than a gallon. Out of pocket, they had to spend $20,000 to redo the well, get it all back up and running with PFAS in it. So there's no way around it. I'm not pointing fingers about the PFAS. I have it, I'm dealing with it, the state's helping us, but why would we give it to someone else that doesn't have it? Or why would we raise the elevations of my neighbors or my own, so it's more costly for one house lot? That I think maybe there's any house, I would propose no blasting in that neighborhood. There's plenty of good land there, but I don't think blasting is needed. So, that's basically what I have on my letter, and hopefully that was enough information to, I'll answer whatever I can.
No, and I know a lot of the board, it was in my letter, there was a well rig caught on fire back in 2004. They hit a pocket of methane while they were drilling. I never went up there and saw it, but we heard about it, of course, at the time. It was a natural pocket of methane that was in the granite. It caught the weld rig on fire, and they came up, and at the time, PFAS was in the fire retardant that they spread. And now it's created this plume that's kind of contaminated this area, which, as Derek said, we do have DEP coming in at the next meeting to kind of get the board up to speed. And just to have that discussion with DEP. It's being regulated by DEP. They're the one that's the approving authority in this case for that. But I guess I would recommend that we turn it over to the applicant if they have any input or any discussion.
And just one quick question, we know for sure they use the fire retardant?
I believe so, according to the
Documented, or-
DEP correspondence we have, and they gave us access to the online and all the wells and all the houses that have been affected, and you can look at the systems that are being installed and the monitoring. But it didn't have like an informational background, but she had just mentioned it was the cause, and she said it was directly related to the foam retardant that they used.
I have the
to
full
put out
DEP
the fire.
report on that, so.
And they tested it before 2004, that it had PFAS in the
No, I
walls?
think at the time, the fire foam that they were spraying had the PFAS.
Okay, but
And
we
it
don't-
wasn't on the banned list at the time. It's since become banned after the fact.
Okay. But we just don't know prior to 2004?
They weren't testing for it back then,
Okay.
that I'm aware of.
They weren't, and this event happened in 2000, I'm Pete Nicosia, by
Yep,
the way,
yep.
the property owner. The rendition of the facts is accurate. They were drilling a well up on Skyline in 2004, and they hit a pocket of methane about 1,000 feet down, and which ended up igniting Skilling and Sons drill rig, which was the well driller at the time. And the Tyngsborough Fire Department came and they unloaded about 70 gallons of the aqueous foam fire retardant, and that's what contained the PFAS. And so it's been determined that's the case. So even though the event happened in 2004, DEP didn't come out and start testing until 2020. So over 2020 to 2022, they tested all of, they gave the opportunity for the whole area to be tested, and people opted in or didn't opt in. So the full DEP report, which if you don't have it, I can give it to you, it's a public record, has all of the testing results of the various property owners and all the mitigation efforts that have been put in place, including, Derek's, Mr. Preston's property too. So, couple of high level comments, and I'll have the engineer just make some points about the project itself. I understand all of the concerns. I don't necessarily agree with all of the summary conclusions, that this will definitely happen, this will definitely happen, this will definitely happen. I understand the point that there's a concern that it may happen, but I don't necessarily agree with those conclusions. DEP, hopefully they do come in November when you have them scheduled. They know all about this stuff and can give the board some comfort levels on, what project activities might affect the PFAS migration and what won't, and what regulations exist and what don't. So I think that'll be informational. I agree with Matt's letter that a lot of these issues are jurisdictional issues for other bodies and not the Board of Health. So I do agree with those positions on those various issues as it relates to the project. Look at the property owner is going to take reasonable measures to mitigate concerns of the neighborhood, just like any responsible, property owner, developer should. So we're gonna try to operate within the bounds of the law and try to account for some of these concerns and see, what construction activities make the most sense in light of the project. So, they've got me involved to try to, balance everybody's considerations here. So I did participate in the site walk with the Conservation Commission. Conservation is looking at all of those issues related to stormwater management. Fire department and the building department are gonna look at all of these issues related to blasting. And again, we're gonna try to mitigate neighborhood concerns as best we can, while at the same time, trying to recognize that this property owner has their own rights to look to get the highest and best use of their own property, and try to, make that coexist with the neighborhood. So we'll do the best that we can. So I'm here to listen and, again, hear all the concerns and hopefully we can navigate this through to conclusion that makes sense. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Pete. So, for the record, I'm Robert Melvin with Stamsky McNary. Just to issue a few comments regarding the concerns here, with respect to PFAS. There's no reason to believe that we're going to be introducing any new sources of PFAS with the construction of the single-family dwellings. And we understand that the Board of Health is the permit issuing authority for the drilling of wells. And there's programs in place for that drilling, such as water quality assessments of the wells at the time of drilling and prior to issuing the building permit. And then to follow up on that with the blasting, the stormwater management and erosion control permit that we're applying for with the Conservation Commission does touch on some of these issues. We've made a compliant plan to control erosion through the use of sedimentation barriers, maintaining a clean site, stabilizing any slopes or any exposed areas of soil. And then with regard to blasting, yes, that does cause dust. And dust control is also a part of the stormwater pollution prevention plan, which is it's a permit required through the state that we must apply for, which will essentially further control the amount of erosion and sedimentation that will happen throughout the site. So there is a permit in place to further enhance the control of this site with respect to any issues with blasting or dust control that we see. It's all pretty standard stuff. That's why the permit exists. Yeah, that's really all I have to say for now.
Before we get to someone else, did you say the wells won't make any difference for the PFAS, or the blasting won't make any difference and won't spread the PFAS?
I didn't say no. What my point was that construction activities won't introduce any new sources of PFAS.
No, it's not, we know it's already there. That's right. We're not, correct, right. Yes. We're just trying not to spread it.
Right. I understand.
Yeah, and what we're saying is that there'll be there's testing in place that's going to evaluate that process in terms of the water quality.
Evaluate the wells that you're drilling.
Correct.
Not the wells that are already existing.
Correct.
Right, so needless to say, we're not talking about the wells you're drilling. We're talking about the wells that exist on the area that's there.
We understand, but there are also testing mechanisms similar to pre-blast surveys that can take place to
Yes.
assess existing conditions in the neighborhood prior to
And that's,
introducing construction
and that's what,
activities.
one of the things
So-
we've been talking
so
about,
those
to
are
make
the
sure
things.
everybody's monitored and everybody's looked after, and before the blasting, after the blasting, after construction, before construction, all these things.
Well, we're gonna, I think when DEP comes in and they talk about these types of issues, I think you'll get some information from them as well.
They've been at the house, they've
Yeah.
sat with us, they've
I-
talked with us, they wanna be here, they've reached out to me today.
Yep.
They're not gonna be here, they're gonna be at the November meeting because the Board of Health wants them to be here also.
Yep.
To educate.
So
also.
we're gonna evaluate those issues as well, as to what scope of pre-construction work, existing condition site assessments that we're gonna engage in. So that's something that we're taking a look at. The extent of which, I think, is gonna have to be determined, but we're certainly gonna take a look at that, just because of the unique character of the neighborhood with the PFAS situation up there now.
There's no doubt about it, nobody wants to spread poison to their neighbor, so. And you saying that, yeah, you don't know really, but do you wanna have that on your, like, hey,
No, but-
sorry, you got it.
But similarly, making declaratory statements that it will happen, it will result in
You cannot say it
contamination.
won't.
I know that, but
You'd like it not to, I
I
would
know.
like it not to,
I know.
I'm glad I have it.
I know, the only point that I'm trying to make is,
No, you can't go on that presumption, Pete.
I,
You can't say, it. The problem is, we have it, look it up anytime. They say blasting introduces it into water sources.
Yeah.
Gives it new channels, new ways to spread.
the only point I'm trying to make is that you can't make a conclusory statement one
But you,
way or the other.
but you can do things
Yes, to make a site
to make it
assessment.
not do that. Blasting is one thing, they're saying helps give it new channels to spread, so why blast? Cause you're rolling the dice with our neighborhood, you don't live there,
I get it. All I'm
Right,
saying is,
so-
we'll make those assessments as to
make
what the
whatever you
least,
want, we'll
what the
keep,
least
we have to keep
invasive-
doing what we have to do, we
I
live
know
there.
that. I know that.
So to say, oh, it might not, no, look it up anywhere. You have to do blasting to a place that has high PFAS, you're giving it new ways to channel.
I don't necessarily agree with that, so.
Well, how do you know?
I think we can just,
Yeah.
just a couple more questions, because
Yeah,
I think
that's
Matt
all.
had to.
We'll
I think
take
we
it up
discussed
in the
that
DEP
with
discussion.
DEP, that's probably a good
Okay.
question, I'm sure we could come, Carrie and I can go through Derek's comments and come up with a list of questions that the board, we can make those available ahead of time so that everyone's aware of them. And obviously, that's a very good question to ask, and what.
And the extent of the blasting has not even been fully determined yet, in terms of what we're gonna be able to get out of there with machinery versus blasting. So that's an analysis that's taking place still
Blasting
as
is
well.
expensive, and they typically try to avoid it.
Exactly.
But we
And how much
do know.
of this land actually needs to be blasted? Like, let's say you were
At
trying to
least
get
lot
6
six,
lots,
at
or
least
you-
lot six, there's no question about that.
Well,
Pete would
okay.
agree with that.
Okay.
I'm not gonna agree with that necessarily. Neither you or I have personally gone out there and done the testing in the ground to make the determination as to where we can.
Pete, ask him where the septic is from lot six and where the foundation is.
I get it.
It's
That
all-
that
it's-
evaluation is still ongoing, is the point to be made.
We can look at the plot plan right here. It's so bad, they have to drag this septic system and recreate this, if we look at lot six. Because where they have the proposed house is all ledge. And that's why, if it was such good material, we would have the septic closer to the house. They wouldn't have to make this big horseshoe or pork chop. I understand it's a way you use your land. It is what it is. You have to go to the best material. The material where the house
Thank you.
is all rock. And how do I know that? Because I live at 72. Right below it.
I don't think there's any debate that there's ledge out there. I mean, that's clear.
There's no debate that lot six is all ledge.
There's a lot of ledge on lot six, yes. There's a lot of ledge out there, period. The question is,
Well, we'll bring photos and people can take their, maybe we'll do a site walk with them
I
also,
know.
so they can see either side of Alpine Way. 20-foot cliffs of ledge.
I know, but you're not gonna be able to, you can't make conclusory statements right now as to what the limit of the blasting versus the limit of the hammering is gonna take place.
So if it can be hammered out.
Then
Correct.
then just
that
say
might be
hammer it.
the extent.
No blasting.
No, we're gonna make commitments after all of our site assessments are done.
Yeah.
What Mr. Preston is looking for us to do is to make a commitment this evening.
No,
Our
just bring it-
processes are
these
still.
These are things we're bringing up to your
Correct.
attention. This is an
And-
informational talk tonight.
Exactly. So-
about the neighborhood and what we've
I get it, I
brought.
get it, I
So,
get it. So the point I'm trying to make is,
well, let me
you're
finish this
making,
like you
let me finish my statement. You're making a conclusory determination that we have to blast the entire site to put these house lots in.
I'm saying any blasting is detrimental to the neighborhood, Patriot and Alpine.
I
So when
understand
it
that
gets
point.
to that point, is that when they're asking the Board of Health to weigh in?
Well, and I think in my letter, I kind of alluded to it, that a lot of these, the first three, I'm not talking about the PFAS
Yep.
per se, but the blasting, the dust control, the rock crushing operations, are typically either handled through the stormwater management permit or the additional permit they have to file is with the EPA, the NIFTIs, or the NPDS. And in order to file a NIFTIs, you have to have a SWIP, which is a very detailed, everyone uses the kind of the same template that the EPA issues. It has all quality, it's like best management practices for your site. Keep your oils and gases here, don't do this, don't wash your vehicles, gas up your vehicles in a place that's not near the wetlands, dust control, rock crushing, erosion control, our reports are over 300 pages by the time we're done. Some of it's just regulation, but a lot of it is informational for the contractors to manage their sites and to continuously remind these guys that they have to manage and control their sites. Blasting is typically, what I've seen in other towns, is kind of regulated through the planning board when it's a definitive subdivision. This is not a definitive subdivision, this is an A&R lot. These are existing lots that can be created without going through a subdivision process. They all have adequate area and frontage, so we didn't have the benefit of that, which I think typically a lot of planning boards will incorporate into a decision. You must do a pre-blast survey, even though that's all regulated by the fire safety code and the fire department. A lot of boards will just put that in there because blasting is such a concern, and it is such a, effect on the neighborhood. Dust control, there's ways to do it, whether it's obviously at the top of the hill and it's windy up there, it's gonna be harder for them, but there is chemicals that are allowed by DEP. Calcium chloride, I believe, is something that you can use if water's not working. But again, this isn't stuff that the Board of Health regulates, but if there is a health problem, if there is dust, then we would obviously get the call. We would go up, do an inspection, work with the town engineer or whoever the stormwater inspector is, and just say, hey, we've gotten a call that there's dust issues, and either the stormwater inspector or the Board of Health would get on the engineer or the contractor at the site, or both, and tell them that they've got to do better on their dust control, and whether that's implementing chemicals or something that's, usually it's water truck twice a day, if they're managing their site well. Rock crushing, that's federal permit. A lot of these guys will bring a crusher in there for a week. They're expensive, but they mobilize. They usually have everything all piled up, ready for them. They crush for a week or two, and then they're gone. I'm not saying that they're gonna do that here. Sometimes it's cost effective to just truck the stuff off site and take it to a crusher if there's one close enough. I don't think they'll know that until they get into it, until they start digging, because you don't know. Obviously, there's a lot of exposed ledge. I have driven up Alpine, and you go through the cut there. I welcome everyone to drive up Alpine to see that. But a lot of these won't be known until you kind of get into the site and they start to manage the site. And I guess that's one thing I just want to add, is a lot of it's regulated either through planning board or the fire department. But we can certainly monitor things, and we will be, obviously.
Does anybody else want to speak? Yep.
I do.
Go right ahead.
So,
Your
Before you
name.
speak, you need to-
Name and
sorry,
address.
my name is Phyllis Speck, and I'm at 34 Patriot.
Okay, thank you.
So those of us on Patriot and Alpine, we have private wells and septic, and this is my reason for being here tonight. If I have no well, I can't live at my house. So I'm looking to maintain not only the quantity but the quality of my well. And you were just talking about if we get to blasting, there will be a pre-blast survey. If my foundation cracks, that's fairly obvious. No special testing needed for that. But will anybody be monitoring what's happening with the wells up there? I mean, I have to believe that blasting can lead to some potential damage. It already has to other people on Alpine. Like you say, definitely one person whose well went from 10 gallons a minute to 0.4 gallons per minute after blasting. No doubt that there's PFAS in the area. What if it triples my well, in my well? due to the new veins being opened? Where are my assurances that someone's watching out for me? So will this pre-blast, if we get to blasting, survey, if you could take our wells into consideration, is what I'm asking.
And I don't know what the regulations are for pre-blast surveys. I don't know, Peter, you guys have that off the top of your head by any chance?
I'm not familiar, no.
So, there are basic set standards. Here, we have a little bit different of a situation because of the unique nature of the neighborhood that exists right now. So, I think in terms of what our pre-development, off-premises site evaluations are gonna be is something that we've opened those discussions on amongst our own internal team to define what that scope is going to be in light of the concerns of the neighborhood. So we're gonna be talking about that, and that was really the only point that I'm trying to make. I'm trying to separate concerns from conclusions. I know people wanna make conclusions in this room right now, but we're really at the concern and how do we address the concern stage, rather than coming up with diagnosis for everything. We're not there yet. So I'm taking in everything that, people are telling me. I am acutely familiar with the PFAS situation because on a legal level, I'm involved in that for a client. So I have a very keen understanding of how it all went down, how it migrated, all the testing, where it stands today, what the impacts are to the neighborhood. I have all the documentation on that, and I've been involved with that for quite a while now. So I do have some intimate knowledge there. Again, that's why I'm pushing back on conclusions versus concerns, because I do have that knowledge. So it's good that DEP is involved. They need to be involved anyways. They should weigh in on these issues, and we'll certainly listen to, what they have to say as well. And, but I understand, well pressure, quality of drinking water,
Positively.
integrity of your
That's
dwellings.
all we have. There's no
Yeah,
option
I
for
get it.
anything else
I
up
get it.
there.
I live in the town too. I live in a neighborhood where there was blasting before. I get all the concerns, and I'm not demeaning them at all, and I'm not writing them off. I'm not ready to predict doom and gloom here. I'm here to listen, try to work the issues, come up with a balance of the concerns so that we can move forward with our project and you don't have, detriment befalling your properties. So, we're gonna keep a very open mind on that in terms of how we move forward. So, that's the message I wanna send to the room. A lot of the concerns, Matt is right, a lot of the concerns that are being raised are not Board of Health jurisdictional issues. They lie with other granting authorities and authorities in the town. But the quality of the well water is clearly a Board of Health issue. And, DEP has developed a lot of data on this, so their input is gonna be relevant as well. So, as part of our permits that we have here, we'll try to address those issues as we roll things out, so. This is the first time I'm sitting in here with any of you on this particular issue. It's a first time meeting. The project, beyond the A&R plan, is fairly in its fledgling stages. We have no other permits granted to us at this point. So, the neighborhood is organized, they're raising their concerns. We're actively trying to hear them and evaluate those issues, so we'll continue to do that. That's the message I want to send.
So if, for the pre-survey, if there is a blasting that's to be done,
Yep.
can a condition be added to have the water or the well tested for the quantity and the quality prior to the blasting?
The answer is yes, but the scope of that, both geographically and time duration, I think are issues that still need to be discussed with DEP. That's the only issue that I probably would have. I think we're gonna have to deal with radius issues, and I think we have to deal with, what that looks like in terms of frequency or duration. So I think we involve DEP, let's get their thoughts on it, and, they've developed a lot of regulations on this issue since it's come to light, and we'll, you know, we'll obviously take into account their guidance as well. And our own interior professionals are evaluating that as well. So, but I think it's a reasonable ask that there should be some type of off-site assessment, but I'm not ready to commit what that radius looks like, and I'm not ready to commit as to what the level and the frequency looks like, because I'm not an expert on those issues, and I'm waiting for some additional guidance from expert on those issues. But I think it's a real ask, and it's only because of the unique situation in this particular neighborhood. If this were anywhere else, I would be saying, no, we're not gonna entertain that. But here, where we had a defined PFAS infiltration event that led to contaminations, you know, it's a real issue to be looked at, so.
Well, just to go off of what Pete just said, I don't know why he's saying he doesn't know what he's doing. Aren't we the Board of Health, and we determine, when I talked to the fire department, they issue the permits. Quinn Development or Quinn Property isn't issuing these permits. They're not putting the criteria on it. We put the criteria on the permits, on the blasting permit, which comes from the fire department. They want to look into also adding these wells on and our coverage. Because this is what all these boards do. They're here to protect us, the resident, right? So whether Pete and his group and his team determine what they'll do or not do, that's not the law, what they'll do. They may wanna fight it, that's up to them. But it's the town that issues the permits, the town that issues the contingencies. Whether they agree with them or not, that's up to them. But I urge the town to stay on our side to make sure everything's done to protect the residents that pay the taxes. So.
And similar to, on that vein of thought, if we get to blasting again, there needs to be insurance policies, I understand, in place if my foundation is damaged. Can we add wells as an insured part of this blasting?
They've talked about it with the fire department. I've talked about it with them to have our water sources covered.
And we can certainly do some homework on our side. I didn't get that far into it, and I don't know if Carrie has either. We were talking about it earlier, just kind of preparing for the meeting. But we could see what the kind of the standard radius is and have that conversation and bring it back.
And it's also a balancing act. I understand what Mr. Preston's saying, but the applicant, as a property owner, have their own rights. And it needs to be balanced with the neighborhood concerns. So that's what we're looking to do, reasonably balance everybody's concerns. So, and again, this hasn't been an issue that's come before this town, I don't think, at this point. Because we haven't had any projects up in that area, I think, since probably Skyline, if I'm not.
That's the last one.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, I agree.
So this is like, it's a new venture for the board. So I think getting the guidance from DEP is important on this particular issue before anybody starts making any decisions or conditions. And we're gonna listen to those things. We're gonna abide by whatever the regulations are going to be. The jury's still out at this point. We all have to do a little bit more homework before we start taking positions on issues.
No, and I think it'll be some radius, like 100 feet, 200 feet, it'll be some, it's not gonna be like a half mile or something, I wouldn't imagine. I would think it would be some localized immediate area, if I had to guess. But we can look and see if we can find some best management practices and something that is consistent with what most people are doing.
Yeah, there may be, I believe there have been some other PFAS events in some other towns where this issue has been confronted. So DEP may have some guidance on what they've done in some of the other jurisdictions as well.
Groton.
That being one of them, yeah.
The plume's moving, and so now they just connected 70 residents, and then they went and retested. Now they have to extend the water line another mile to get the next. So it's like this ongoing thing, and I just read it in the newspaper, but it's affecting a lot of the public water supply wells, the PFAS, and it is I'm sure everyone that drove down 119 in Littleton a couple of years ago, there was that black pipe that was connecting two wells that the town of Littleton owns. One by the lake there, what's the name of that lake?
Yes, I know that, yeah.
It's the lake that sits down in the hole, right right where the Groton Littleton town line is. And then they have another well way up.
Wanakee, I believe.
Yeah, because of the S, but the other well is way up by Dover Saddlery, and so they had to connect their two wells to mix the water to lower the PFAS levels. So that's why that black line was there for so long. Now, they've since put on a treatment plant and addressed the issue that way. But PFAS is everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere. And what is the current minimum acceptable? Because I know a couple of years ago it was at this level.
I think that's been
And
changing.
then it dropped
a lot.
again.
Yes,
I think the
it's
standard
significantly
has
lower.
been moving.
It's a moving target as
It
far
is,
as I
yeah.
know, right? Yeah.
I believe EPA has a lower standard, is it 20 nanometer?
Yeah, it's not a no PFAS requirement.
Right.
That's not the standard.
I think you're right, because I remember it was in the literature from DEP.
20 or something.
I think that sounds familiar. We can certainly have that for the next meeting.
Okay.
This board or this town, we currently don't regulate PFAS with private house.
So we'll certainly be here in attendance in November at that meeting,
No.
to listen to DEP as well.
Does anybody else has anything? Yes.
Brandon Wolf, 56 Patriot Road, and my
Yep.
wife Michelle. I'll keep it brief. I know I've gone through a number of topics so far. We agree, obviously, with all the concerns that have been brought up. 56 Patriot is directly adjacent to the proposed Lot 1. So basically the opposite side from Lot 6 that Derek was talking about. We are significantly lower in elevation than the majority of the topography in which these lots are being built. Specifically, lots 1 and 2 drain towards our property, which is significantly lower. So some of our concerns, in addition to certainly blasting, would be the testing of wells, water availability and quality before non-blasting construction as well. We're slated to receive, it's a little confusing to me, but I know we spoke about it briefly. I had some questions answered at the site visit, but the driveway runoffs for both lot, and I know this isn't water management, but it affects the quality of our drinking water. The runoff from driveways of lots 2 and lots 1 are being directed downhill towards our property and then processed in a mitigation system directly in front of our property. So I don't know the exact elevation, but significantly lower than where the water is being received, being driven down to our elevation. I don't know the exact dimension, but I'd say within 100 feet of our well, since it's right against the property line here. So in addition to PFAS and very serious concerns, we have a general concern about water quality just due to the slope of where they're proposing these new lots. Since we are at the receiving end of all of that, and I know obviously there's engineering built to mitigate that. Of course, that engineered solution is directly in front of our existing well. So those are some of the concerns that we have, in addition to all that have been brought up. So even if there were no blasting on the site, we would certainly be concerned about the quality of our water after that development, and during specifically, since it is on a huge slope and would require quite a bit of construction management to make sure that during construction and post-construction, that it doesn't infiltrate into our property in general, and then certainly our drinking water. And our well, surprisingly enough, is only 90 feet deep. Our neighbor, directly across the street, I believe, mentioned that his is 800 feet deep. And I think others have fairly deep wells as well. I didn't drill a well, can't say, maybe they got lucky. Hey, we're at 90 feet, crystal clear water. I'm very concerned with a number of properties being built right above us, with all of that directed downhill onto our property that we may not have. We'll have too much of the water we don't want being processed off of their driveways, and not enough of groundwater once you add 5 additional wells directly next to us. So those are some of the concerns we have, in addition to everything that has been brought up.
Does the surface water already run towards your house now?
Absolutely. So we get a lot of, I wouldn't say hydraulic, there's a lot of pressure from that water against our foundation, which is right at the base of the hill. So during rain events,
Right.
that floods. And we've sealed cracks in the foundation professionally to keep it from leaching in.
Yep.
But surely that water comes in, then goes down underneath the foundation into our 90-foot drilled well. So it's a concern. I know most of that is with the Conservation Commission. We brought those concerns up. But specifically in terms of drinking water and the serviceability of our septic, which is also right there at the bottom of the slope, I believe very close, I guess downhill from where these new septics will be placed, as well as the water catchment systems for the roofs of these new systems, all right at the top of this hill above ours. So we also have concerns about our septic. So I'd just like to respond to that by explaining, so the system he's referring to is labeled subsurface chambers 1 on our plan. He's correct, as it collects the runoff from the driveways of lots 1 and 2. And then it is directed to the system through catch basins and pipes. And the subsurface chamber system has been designed to fully infiltrate up to the 100-year design storm, which is the largest design storm we were asked to investigate for this permit. So it's completely infiltrating. It is equipped with an emergency overflow, which is directed in the direction of your lot. However, again, this is for emergency cases where we see these very large storms that are quite rare, in which case, you'd be seeing a lot of runoff issues, not, in general. At that point, you're getting a larger than 100-year storm. You're getting a lot of water at that point. And then to the other point I want to make is that these systems are providing a level of treatment as required by the state stormwater handbook and as well as the local regulation. So the water that we're putting back into the ground, we're ensuring that that is clean water. We're not introducing any contaminants into the system. And I think I brought it up before, but one of our concerns is certainly that there are 2 individually owned properties using the same water treatment engineering, which happens to be directly in front of our home and 100 feet from our well. We have concerns about that being maintained between 2 individual owners of 2 different lots. That apparently it's not possible with the lot conditions there to have each individual lot manage their own waste or runoff water. So it is being combined and then processed in front of our well.
No, I think this is more of a stormwater conservation issue, but we just recommend that they include an operation and maintenance manual for the stormwater system,
It's required by the code.
which is required for future maintenance and operation, including legal and obligations of the property owners. That would be my only comment.
Anybody else?
Before we move off of this and get to anything else, you said some of this, my discussions that I thought were all health related. What board should I be sending some of this dust control, worried about breathing, asthma, cancerous, silicon air, that type of stuff? Who should I be sending this to?
That is definitely a health department, like the effects of the dust. And,
Yeah.
and they're health related.
Okay.
But the construction and the monitoring and the managing your construction site is through the stormwater permit. And the operation and maintenance manual, the NIFTY's permit that gets filed, the SWIP that gets filed, all include dust control and best management practices for all of those items.
Because I
not
believe,
PFAS.
oh, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Matt, I'm sorry. I believe that Emily pushed this towards me to push towards you guys.
Yeah, and we can have that conversation with Emily for sure.
Yeah, just, I wanna make sure
we're on the same
the
page.
mails, I'm addressing it to the right person.
Yeah,
Obviously
no, we
new
don't
to
wanna
this, this
play
is-
that game either.
Yeah, so I wanna make sure everybody has the right, emails, the right concerns.
If there is a health effect and it's not being managed, then it certainly is a health department.
But how do we
issue.
get it so it doesn't become a health issue? That's what you know what I mean?
And
like-
that's typically done through that stormwater management permit, which is the whole purpose of that permit, is to manage construction sites typically. The majority of it's erosion control, everyone's seen straw wattles and hay bales that go around the site. That tends to take care of a lot of the issues. But the dust control and, you know, like I said, even gassing up vehicles and where they store their vehicles, we have some sites where the guys will park their trucks right next to the wetlands and the Conservation Commission will be down there the next day and telling them to move it. You know, they don't want, some of those trucks leak oil, it is what it is, some of, they're not, you know. So that's why when I say a lot of this is kind of managed through that permit, kind of how it's managed and what the best management practice is to manage your site. Now, obviously, we can certainly monitor, and I have a feeling we will be monitoring this site when construction activities go, more so than we would with other projects, just with the concerns. We can certainly assist with that stormwater inspection, if the board wants us to. Or if there's complaints filed, for sure.
So then a permit issued by the fire department for the blasting, does that also cover the dust and silica and all that stuff from it? Does that cover that too, or should I be looping them in also? Because they're issuing a permit for all this.
It kind of overlaps, so that would also be, like, that stormwater management permit, which requires you to file the NIFTYs through the EPA, which includes the SWIP, has so much stuff included into it that it really, it's best management practices for almost anything you can think of construction related. Which is why the EPA has pushed those things, you know, they're so important. If you disturb over an acre, you know, those are required for all the sites now. And again, if you're not properly managing your site, it's usually the first line of defense is that stormwater, your erosion control inspector, your stormwater inspector. I think in this case, it's either Emily or the town engineer that do a lot of their inspections for erosion control. If we certainly have issues with blasting, rock crushing, we could certainly, if the board wants, we could kind of work with them as well. To not, it's kind of, it's mostly handled through them, and we will have the conversation with them before the next meeting to make sure we're on the same page.
And are these proposed lot designs until you know more of the analysis of?
No, I mean, the A&R plan has been granted.
Great.
If we wanted to change lot shapes
Yeah.
or number of lots, we would have to go back to the planning board with a new plan. So right now, the lots as they're configured are the intended lots.
Intended.
But as we do some more site evaluation, that could change. So, you know, again, an A&R plan, to get an A&R plan is pretty easy. I mean, you either meet the requirements or you don't. Getting to the developmental level in hand, shoveling the dirt permits is a longer haul because of the various site considerations that are at issue here, especially on a topographically challenged site like this one. So, we're just not quite there. So, look, we're gonna go through this process together, and hopefully we'll come up with an answer that makes sense as best we can for all interests involved. So we'll keep an open mind as to how we're gonna approach this.
Anybody else from the board have a question? Nope. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. I appreciate you coming out, raising concerns. Peter.
Yep,
thank you
appreciate
as
your
well.
time.
Yeah, thank you everyone so much for listening to our concerns.
Yep.
The next meeting's November 4th.
November 4th.
Yes,
please.
Or,
November 10th.
10th, sorry.
Yeah, I got it.
Thank you.
make sure you have.
Do you want addresses for the names?
that would be great. If you wanna put your name and address. that would be
And
great.
Matt, if you want some of the PFAS materials,
Yeah,
I'm happy to-
absolutely.
I'll email it to you.
Please.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Good night, Pete.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Okay.
You're welcome to stay to hear the health director.
No, I'm good, thank you. I was
up
up
late
late
watching
watching
the
the
Patriots.
Patriots.
I know. Yeah, thank you everyone very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate your time. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye, Carrie.
Thanks, Mike.
Of course, I'll be traveling for that one too.
Oh, yes.
Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Bye. Bye, Matt.
I think this is your pen.
Oh, thank you very much.
All right, agenda item number 3, health director update.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you. That might be might be an extra.
No, you don't know.
Okay. So the director's note, we just participated in a civic academy, which we, I think, just went in front of like residents who signed up and come, like, I think it's like a 6-week, 9 weeks program where they come in front of each boards and just kind of, or each departments, and just kind of listen to the overview of the departments, or if they have any questions, they could ask like the department. So we just participated in that. We got 6 participants. So that was that, and then health and safety fair. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there. So I'll let Angela kind of go over the event itself, because she had put a lot of work and effort into the health and safety fair.
It was a great day. We had, I would say about 200 to 250 people. We had a bunch of great vendors this year. They were amazing. It was a beautiful day. And all around it, I don't think it could have gone any better. It was, everybody had a great time. The Young Hero Award was just amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah, she was a wonderful young woman.
11-year-old.
Yeah, 11-year-old.
When you
She
saw
was-
her, she looked like she was like 16.
Yeah, she was just amazing story.
Story.
So that was great to see. And it just seems like everybody really enjoyed their time, the day there. A lot of people went to the flu clinic this year. We had, I think, 22 people who gave blood. And I think they said they had about 16 or 18 people who pre-signed up for the flu clinic. And then they had quite a few walk-ins. So it was altogether, it was wonderful.
Any thought about the time frame being adjusted at all on a Saturday?
To a little later?
Well, it's
Or-
just like a prime time, like soccer games for kids, and like usually after 1, like a lot of the Saturday morning soccer is over.
So we typically do it from 11 to 2. This is
Yeah.
our first year
Like-
that they wanted to try it earlier, but we didn't have hardly anybody from 10 to 11.
Yeah. That's what I was
So
wondering.
we discussed last week, we discussed with Brad to maybe go a little bit later next year. So that's in the works. We're putting together a meeting for next week to kind of make plans ahead of time.
Pin down a date.
Yeah, to pin down a date now.
Yeah, that's good.
So
Yeah,
we
it was
can
one of
get
the
things
feedbacks that I
booked.
heard, it was just like, oh, I'd love to get there earlier, it was just, there was
Yes.
Saturday morning games with kids.
We're gonna try to
you
go,
know.
I think, a little bit later next year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe noon or something. It's a thought.
Yeah, so I'll bring that up, but yeah, this was our first time going a little earlier, and I noticed, I was like, okay, where is everybody? From 10 to, we really didn't have anybody in that time frame, so, yeah.
That's what I was wondering. Okay, that's good. No, again, turned out great when I saw some of the soccer kids show up later on, so I was like, all right,
Right.
that's where everybody was. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
we're gonna try to plan this year off everybody else's, so not the same week as the other fairs, Chelmsford and Shirley, and this year we kinda all had the same weekend.
Yeah.
So that's what we're knocking down the date soon, to get everything booked early, so
Earlier, okay.
we can pin down a good date.
And there was a blood drive?
Yeah, we had the blood drive.
Okay. And now, there was another town blood drive about a month earlier?
I think it was in Tyngsborough also at Old
Yeah.
Town Hall.
Yeah, so I just know from people that I know that give blood is you can't do it back to back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Or
that's
individuals can't go back.
something that I think Recreation has
Yeah.
like ongoing.
Yeah.
I don't know if they do it every couple months, or I don't know, I'll have to see what Allison does, because I noticed that they have it at Old Town Hall, like every so often, they have the blood drive set up there.
Yeah, and like I think sometimes the church does one, so just getting an idea of like,
When they are, and,
if you're gonna get 20 residents, you probably could have gotten like 50 if they didn't have one like the month before,
Right.
you know, so you just maybe get an idea where all the blood drives.
right,
And I'm sure the American Cross will just go, and we'll just get as much blood as we can.
absolutely.
So I'm sure they're not gonna not regulate, but like, be aware if there's other things going on in the same town, like, just, I do know they ask you if you've given blood recently, and if you have, they make you wait.
Right, there's only so long you can go
Yeah.
in between.
So just.
Yeah.
About a year to figure out. Cool. Alright, anything else?
So I do have one more thing to
Yep.
share with you guys, which is kind of an update with the Charles George landfill. So what they're gonna do is that they're gonna add PFAS as part of their, one of the monitor chemicals. And they're gonna add also one for dioxin, which I think they found the last time they did their round of testings. And what they wanna do is instead, right now, all the water that from the monitoring well is going into the sewer system. And that takes a lot of capacity from the town. So what they wanna do now is take that water, treat it for those chemicals that they all consider hazardous before they release it into, I think, onto surface water, which I think flows right into Flint Pond. So before they release it, they will make it at a safe level that meets the limits. That's all I have.
Cool, thank you.
Who would be doing that? Like, who is they that you're referring to? Just asking.
EPA is the one that's monitoring the Charles George landfill, and DEP sometimes help them out. So Charles George landfill is considered one of those hazardous landfill.
Super.
Yes, Superfund, it's a Superfund site, and so that's handled by, EPA.
Okay.
Okay, meeting minutes for approval. Were you able to watch?
I never watched it.
Okay.
So I just skimmed.
Okay.
is the meeting in November with DEP in response to what we wanted? Or is it just perfect timing?
No, we actually reached out to Mass DEP, and Mass DEP emailed us to see if they can, I guess, provide more information.
About that situation, or about, because, I mean, it's in here that we were struggling with the PFAS. So, and to be able to regulate it, will they be able to maybe answer some of the questions we might have at that time? Or we can make it answer anyways, but.
So she's probably gonna be able to answer some of the questions. She's not with the Mass DEP drinking water supply. She's actually more of a Chief Technical Support and Site Discovery, the Bureau of Waste Site Cleanup. So as far as PFAS, I think like in around 2020, the state offer a PFAS testing programs to communities with at least 60% of 60% of water on a private well, and Tyngsborough was one of those communities that qualified. So some residents did take advantage of it, and I think because it's a known source, I think Mass DEP may have reached out to those residents directly.
Well, we're just, when we get to doing that regulation, we're gonna still need a little assistance.
Yeah. I think you guys asked me to ask Matt to be the technical advisor.
Yeah, and he may get some of that information too from Peters, so he might be able to stop just with that.
Yeah.
Very great. Seeing all pencils and papers down, we'll take votes on August 11th. We have a motion.
Someone needs to make a motion, I can't
Make a
because I
motion
wasn't there.
For the board to accept the minutes of the meeting of Monday, August 11th, as it's written.
I hear a second.
I'll second it.
Second by Steve. Any discussion? Okay. Steve, how do you vote?
In favor?
Carla?
In favor.
And Echo?
In favor.
And I'm also in favor. And Sheila?
I abstain.
One time. Okay. Next one was September 8th. I'm not sure if I just saw our spelling, but second page under Sheila where it says looked up. 3rd sentence down. Properly contained as the case and can determinate over time, or is it supposed to be like deteriorate over time?
Well, probably something that I read. I think it's deteriorate over time, that makes the most sense.
That's what it was.
That it's vulnerable to collapse if not properly contained, as the casing can deteriorate over time. It is often recommended to seal the well. Do you see where that is? It says SP lookup.
Mm-hmm.
Under the definition.
Bottom half of the page.
It's yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that big paragraph, like 3/4 of the way down. Oh, okay.
Then would it be the same if
Got it.
And then,
Venerable?
vulnerable, not venerable.
No.
That sounds like a dirty word. And then also under that, under board discussion summary, we have Steve, then we have EO, maybe that was, should be EA,
Yeah.
not O, unless it's Carrie, unless, did you say yes, technology park?
No,
So Steve asked, was there any business zoned areas in Tyngsborough?
no, that's EA.
Okay.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes of Monday, September 8th, with the acknowledged corrections.
I'll second it.
Seconded, okay. Any other further discussion? Okay, we'll take a vote. Steve?
In favor?
Carla?
Abstain. I wasn't here for it.
Yep. Echo?
In favor.
And I'm in favor, and Sheila?
In favor.
Okay. Passes there. All right, no new business? No old business? So we can adjourn?
Can I just ask something? So this yellow is the proposed 6 house lots, and the one in the center, that's
The existing.
the existing?
Yeah, I believe it is.
Because I was a little lost when they were talking about like lot 6. 'Cause, like,
Yeah, it
we
would've
were-
been nice
We
to-
were counting like the greens, but that wouldn't have been it, right? It
No, that's,
would have been somewhere in there.
it's somewhere in the yellow, so it's tough to.
Yeah, it's like the corner, not pointed at us,
Yeah,
but I wouldn't
you were right
really
next to
know.
him.
Does make you wonder what the green is, though.
Right.
I think those are the house lots.
Houses lots, other house lots.
The way they're divided
Yeah.
with their homes on it. I'm thinking, right?
Yeah, but these aren't, I don't know. Odd.
Oh, the white?
Yeah.
I think because the ones on the white are Alpine Way and the ones in the green are.
Or Patriot.
Are Patriot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that
So
makes sense,
that's-
because
that's
there's
one
something
whole
up
lot.
here
Mhm.
in the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
another development.
Yeah.
They're on a different street.
Yeah, all those 6 units is gonna go into that big yellow
Big yellow box.
rectangle.
Okay.
And so the person who owns this was not here tonight?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I think I read somewhere that house is gonna remain.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, we can take a motion to.
I make a
adjourn.
motion that we adjourn the meeting at 7:25 PM.
I'll second.
Seconded. I'll take a vote. Carla?
In favor?
Okay, Echo?
In favor.
How many favors, Sheila?
In favor.
And Steve?
In favor?